relationship is over. I'm like this, if you have to call the police on me, which I'm not going to do a damn thing to hurt you, and I'm damn sure ain't going to call them on you. Because guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to leave. Now, if you're trying to kill me or something, then I'm going to call them. Because I know what I'm going to do next, and I'm not even going to say it on YouTube. I'm going to pray for you. But anyway, you all let me know what you think about this story. If you want to add anything to it, please do so in the comment section. Anyway, you all have a blessed day. And once again, thank you all for listening to the Trey King Show. If you like the video, push that like button. If you like the video, subscribe to the channel, become a channel member. Also, share this video with your family and friends. Till next time, you all stay blessed. Have a most precious, glorious, blessed day. And I will see y'all soon on the next Trey King Show. Till next time, I'm out.
I said, all right, okay, you want to send the murderers. How about this? Rapists. Horrible, grotesque, evil crime.
Philadelphia has always been home to this family, but sadly, they say now might be the time to go. A week after their son was shot to death, they want to know how a car crash ended with him being murdered. Cell phone video showing 19-year-old Bryant Hurd Jr. in happy times.
I wish I could have that time back.
Now, videos showing him full of life are all Bryant Sr. and his wife Cindy have left to remember their only son.
The part is gone now that it ain't gonna never come back.
Someone shot Bryant to death just after 1 o'clock in the afternoon on April 20th near his only home on Wagner Street.
Cold-blooded murder in broad daylight.
Police say a 19-year-old, not named by police, was in a white Ford Crown Vic and driving fast on Wagner Avenue when he hit Bryant's Chrysler 300 as he was turning onto Wagner. Police say immediately after the accident, another man came from down the street where he had been fixing a car and shot Bryant several times. It's a tragic ending to a promising life.
Monday, he had just took his carpentry union's test for apprenticeship. So he felt good about that. He had an interview on Thursday. He was excited because he knew he was about to get a career going.
Earlier on, Bryant had completed both the police and fire cadet programs. The 35th District Advisory Council posted this tribute on social media, calling Bryant a great young man and a very hard worker. Heartbroken, his parents say they kept him from the streets but still lost him.
I didn't think I had to worry about it. But because what's going on in this city and, the gun violence, you had to worry.
Police right now are only saying this man, Terrence Fleming Jr., from the 5200 block of North Camac, is wanted for weapons violation concerning this homicide investigation.
Yo, YouTube, what's going on? Straight back again, did you all with another video. Hope y'all are having a very great day. Hope y'all are having a very great week also. My day is going very good and my week is going incredible. Big shout out to all the channel members, all the subscribers of the Trey King Show family. Much love to each and every last one of you all who genuinely show support for the channel. Thank you all. And you all, we have a story out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Big shout out to everybody in Philly, all the young bulls, old bulls, all that. I'm still trying to figure out what the hell bull mean. If you know what bull mean, or if I'm saying it right, please let me know. Anyway, now first of all, I want to apologize because I am a couple days late with this story. But it's better late than never. You feel what I'm saying? Because last time I heard, I just checked last night and also checked with my team members that this guy in question who killed this younger guy is still on the run, who is still on the loose. So basically, they need to bring his ugly ass to justice. I hate to say it like that, but we're going to start the story off right. You feel what I'm saying? But I'm not going to tarry too long today. You know what I'm saying? Because I know you all got a lot to do. I have a lot to do. Now, also, I want to send my condolences out to the family of Brian Hurd Jr., to his dad, to his mom, and also to his sister or his 3 sisters. I don't know if we have 1 sister or 3 sisters, but my condolences goes out to the Hurd family in Philadelphia. And I also heard mentioned in the news that the family was talking about maybe they are moving out of Philly. Well, I'm not telling them to move nowhere because, you know, they're grown, they're going to do what they want to do. But at the same time, the way the murder rate is in Philly, I mean, damn, let's go back to last year, 2020. You had 499 murders in Philadelphia. Now listen, when we hear these murders, we hear the numbers, but guess what? To each one of those numbers, a soul is attached. You feel what I'm saying? So that's 499 souls that was lost, that was murdered last year. And as of this year, you have already up to like 185 murders so far this year. So within the last year and a half, Philadelphia have close to 700 murders, and the year is not even halfway over with yet. So let that sink in. So unfortunately, maybe by the end of this year, that Philadelphia in the last 2 years will top 1,000 damn murders. That is sad right there. I don't know what the hell is going on, but things need to change, and we need good people to stand up. It's amazing to me, number one, you can do what you want to do with your platforms. You can say what you want to say. You feel what I'm saying? But it's amazing to me how we call out everything but the thing that goes on in our own community. Now, this story takes place in the Logan part of Philadelphia. It happened around 1 p.m. when you had a guy who goes by the name of 19-year-old Brian Hurd Jr., who was driving this silver Chrysler 300, you know, doing what he's supposed to do, being respectable of the law, not speeding, not trying to run over nobody, not selling drugs, not doing anything illegal. From what I heard, this guy was a clean-cut guy, and that's the main reason why I'm making the story right there, because guess what? The guy didn't do anything wrong, and he still lost his life. And I heard the dad said that he tried to protect his son from the streets, and he still lost his son to the streets. You see what I'm saying? And I hate to say that was God's will. You know what I'm saying? And I hate to even think like that. But at the same time, what are we supposed to think? Because I'm sure if Brian Hurd Jr. and Sr. and also the family and those who are involved, if they could have prevented this, they would have. Some things in life we must understand is out of our control. You see what I'm saying? We all was born, we all want to leave one day, but it's how you leave that really matters, and that will hurt the people the most. You feel what I'm saying? But anyway, now from what I've been hearing, you had a police car, a Crown Victoria, and I don't understand why people drive these damn Crown Victorias. I'm not trying to throw shade on no damn body, but I get tired of driving my damn cars, and I'm looking at my rearview mirror, and I'm seeing a damn Crown Victoria, and here I am sitting up straight and everything, and I don't drive funny anyway. I drive respectable. Sometimes my foot get a little heavy, and I hit the gas sometimes. You know what I'm saying? I got sports cars and whatnot. But sometimes when I'm driving, my foot get a little heavy, and all of a sudden I see a Crown Victoria in a damn rearview mirror. I'm thinking it's a damn cop. Come to find out, it's some damn pookie or some damn body, and they beating down the damn block. I'm like, what the hell? I don't know what the hell is going on. What is wrong with people with these damn Crown Victorias? Now, is the Crown Victoria speeding down the street, and this Crown Victoria, from you all seen the video yourself, for those who watch this video, and I know the video is very hard to watch, but if you can stomach it, go watch it. But you will see the Crown Victoria speeding, doing about every bit of 50, 60, maybe 70 miles per hour. And here it is, 19-year-old Brian Hurd Jr. is trying to turn onto the street. He was only a block away from his own damn home. Headed home, and this Crown Victoria hit him, and after the Crown Victoria hit him, it hit another car, and that's what 20-year-old looking every bit. A rough and murderous, a mean, I don't give a damn about anything in life, 35 in the face, Terrence Fleming Jr. run down the damn block from where he was just fixing on his ragged-ass car, runs up to Brian Hurd Jr., who then started pleading with him, because you all can see the video. He sticks his hand out, basically pleading with the man, and the man shot him 3 times, and then I heard he shot him, well, 3 times in the chest, and then 1 time in the head. And if I'm wrong, please let me know in the comment section, because I heard he was shot 4 times. But the point is, he meant to kill this guy. This happened in broad daylight at 1 p.m. Now, if you have a guy who was that brazen and that bold to murder somebody in broad daylight over nothing, but it goes to show you, people like this need to be off the streets, they need to be in the ground, or they need to be in somebody's damn jail cell. Guess what? That could have easily been me or you doing the right thing, minding our own business. You see what I'm saying? And guess what? Trouble still finds you some kind of way. But anyway, I'm not going to tear it too long. I'm going to read a quick snippet from this story, and I'm going to give my opinion. All of it. Surely, as we go. Man walks up to crash scene, shoots driver dead. Says Philadelphia police. No shit. We seen the damn video, and it was a sad video. You know what I'm saying? And each time I watch these videos, and you would think all the stories I have done over the last damn near 5 years, that I have seen it all. But one thing about it, each one of these stories, it really hurts. Because one thing about it, I put myself in that person's shoes. You see what I'm saying? Like, what was their thoughts going through their head at that last moment? Like a person walking up to you with a gun, and you ain't got no weapon to defend yourself, and you didn't do nothing wrong, and that person viciously kill you right there on the damn spot. That's a sad situation. No person, especially a good person, should have to go out like that. Anyway, this story is out of Philadelphia. Police are asking for the public's help in finding a 20-year-old man wanted for a murder in the city's Logan section. And I went on Philadelphia's most wanted, and guess what? Y'all have a lot of people on the most wanted list. You even got a damn 17-year-old badass boy. I'm like, God damn. They don't give a damn about their damn age up there. You got young people up there just killing every day, all damn day. You know what I'm saying? I would have been packed my shit and moved out to damn Bel Air like the Fresh Prince. Anyway, according to police, Terrence Fleming Jr. shot and killed 19-year-old Brian Hurd on the 1200 block of Wagner Avenue at about 1 p.m. And as you all can see, if you look at this street, what in the hell and why in the hell would a person be driving, number one, a Crown Victoria, which you should be speeding in no damn car, but if you don't speed in a damn car, at least get a damn sports car with some damn handling. Because I guarantee you, if he would have had him a damn decent sports car or something with some damn grip and some damn good brakes, this shit probably would have never happened. Now how in the hell you gonna swerve out the way of a damn Chrysler 300 in a Crown Victoria heavy ass car, which weighs about 45,000 pounds, like you're some damn Fast and the Furious movie or something? It don't work that way in real life. But it goes to show you the person that really needs to be arrested also, because I heard the person was in the hospital, but they got out. They need to be arrested and also charged with something. Not necessarily the murder because they didn't pull the trigger, but their foolishness led this up to happen. But guess what? Terrence Fleming Jr. crazy ass was going to kill somebody any damn way. You feel what I'm saying? The way he walked up to that guy and gunned that guy down in broad daylight without a care in the world and then took off running, somebody should have threw a rock and busted right in the back of his damn head. Anyway, the shooting followed a 3-car crash. After the crash, detectives said Fleming, who was repairing a car nearby, he should have stayed his ass right there and finished repairing that car. And I wonder, did he ever finish repairing a damn car? Walked up to the scene and shot the victim multiple damn times. That is a crime shame right there. And you know what? I know we all got to go one day, but I pray and I pray that I won't go out like that. And if I do, hopefully y'all ride for your boy. Anyway, there was no word as why Fleming shot the driver, but from what I heard, the person that was driving the Crown Victoria is related to Fleming, because that's just like if you fix on a damn car and all of a sudden you see somebody else getting a car crash, you don't know them, they ain't got nothing to do with you, but you run over there and jump on the person or ultimately kill the damn person who was in the damn right. You know what I'm saying? Not the person in the wrong. So evidently, Fleming must knew this guy that was driving this damn Crown Victoria car, and they need to get them damn Crown Vics off the damn road. And I'm sorry if you can't get you a damn sports car, but guess what? If you're driving like that, you need a damn sports car, or you need to just sit your ass down, go to the racetrack. Anyway, anyone with information to Fleming's whereabouts is encouraged to contact the police, and guess what? Look at the bottom, 215-686-3334. And guess what? You have to start giving refuge to these people who do this type of thing. And guess what? Also, Mr. Terrence Fleming Jr., in case you're listening, there is no statute of limitation on murder in the United States of America. You have to go somewhere else. And guess what? Most of those other countries, they're not accepting people to come in their country unless you have a damn what they call a real ID, if you have your vaccine. So if you haven't got no vaccine, or if you have a bad criminal record, you can't get no passport anyway. So pretty much you're stuck in the U.S. So what that means is this right here, that sooner or later, your ass will get caught. And you need to be caught, because one thing about it, you did not have to do that. Why sit up there and take a good person out when that person did not do anything, number one, to the person in the Crown Victoria, and also ultimately to you, the person drove right by you. So you all let me know what you think about that situation. Sad situation, but guess what? We must stand for something or fall for anything, because sooner or later, it could be us. And that's the whole point about it. Anyway, you all let me know what you think. If you like the video, push that like button. If you like the video, subscribe to the channel, become a channel member. Also, share this video with your family and friends. Till next time, you all stay blessed. Live by the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. If you don't want nobody beating you up or shooting you down like a dog, a dog shouldn't be done like that. If you don't want nobody doing you harm, don't do no harm to nobody else. Live and let live, and your days will be better. Anyway, I'll see y'all soon on the next Trey King Show. Till next time, you all take care, love one another, and I'm out.
The ranking member from Illinois, Mr. Davis.
Just a quick point of personal privilege. We'll ask Jamie Fleet to send down the CAO to get your spacebar fixed, Mr. Chair. They will be there momentarily, I promise.
I think I was the problem, Rodney. I confess.
It's never user error, sir. Never.
Thank you.
Hey, I really enjoy these hearings, and I've traveled the country during the last Congress talking about many of these issues. And here's the good news: the vote suppressionists that we talk about in this subcommittee, they've been doing a pretty crappy job over the last 2 election cycles, because we had historic midterm turnout. We had historic turnout in 2020, which is great, because that meant as many eligible voters in the United States were able to cast a vote for their preferred candidates. And while we may not like the outcomes of elections, that's a positive that we all ought to celebrate. And that leads me to my question. So, Ms. Phillips, thanks again for being here today, again with all the witnesses. Give us your definition of list maintenance for the committee.
Certainly, list maintenance is ensuring that only eligible individuals are on the voter registration list.
Great. As you're aware, Section 8 of the NVRA governs the process for states to conduct list maintenance, which is critical for good election administration. Can you briefly describe the criteria and requirements that must be met in order for a state to remove a voter from its registration rolls?
Sure. Section 8 requires that list maintenance be conducted for registrants who are deceased and who have been moved. And there are certain fail-safes in there to ensure that voters are not removed unless certain criteria is met.
Right. There are many people who believe that voters are removed from their state's voter rolls solely as a result of not voting. That's not true, right?
That is not true.
And what makes a voter inactive?
It depends on state law. Oftentimes it is an indication from a number of sources that a voter has moved, a registrant has moved.
You in trouble?
Let me find this boy.
Hey you, and welcome. My name is Mike, and in this whole video we are talking Tracy Richter. You know those people who just kind of make your skin crawl? You just see them and you're just kind of like, ugh. Even though they seem like, you know, really nice folk. This is one of those. It is to Early, Iowa that we shall go. I mean, it's set in modern day. The town's called Early, so, you know. And we will learn all about the character, and she was quite the character that still is, Tracy Richter. So, do you, want to give it a go? To Early, Iowa we go. And what can I say about Early, Iowa? Not much.
Not much.
It is a community of under 1,000 people, mostly working in agriculture, like we recently talked about Todd Mullis. Same kind of stuff, really. Mostly farmers and that kind of stuff. Everybody knowing each other's beeswax. Tight-knit. So then, when on one evening in December 2001, shots rang out in the home of a family of 5, well, that tends to get noticed. I think it would be noticed anywhere, to be fair. That's when, the usually unlocked doors of the houses in Early went... There had been a break-in, shots fired, and a body bag needed. The home was of the Roberts family, made up of Michael, Tracy, maiden name Richter, Bert from Tracy's previous marriage, and then boy Noah and girl Mason. When the police and EMTs arrived, they entered a scene of crying and screaming. Tracy and the children were safe, thankfully. The man of the house, Michael, he happened to be out of town, and, well, on the floor was a familiar face. It was 20-year-old Dustin Weedy, a neighbor of the Robert family. He had been shot 9 times, and he was beyond saving at this stage. Tracy, in shock, was taken to the hospital for breathing difficulties, but she was able to tell the police that she'd been attacked by intruders and that she'd been choked out with a pantyhose. So, like, what the? Well, Dustin, he had a really good relationship with the Roberts. He would cut their grass for them, they would go to church together. So was he there to protect the Roberts from intruders, or was he one of the intruders? The latter, according to Tracy from her hospital bed. There were two men that broke in. One was Dustin, and the other, Tracy, didn't know him. He was a stranger, but she was able to give a description to the police. And they never asked for money, even though, when they were choking her and attacking her, there was expensive jewelry, about 23 grand worth of jewelry all over the house. They weren't interested. Tracy said to the police that it seemed like they were there for her. She managed to grab a gun and shoot Dustin in self-defense to protect her and her children's lives. The other guy, he fled the scene and police put out warnings. And Tracy, hero. Mama Line, prepared to defend her cubs. Kitty got claws. What a brave woman, Tracy was discharged from hospital after a few days. Husband Michael rushing back to her side. And the family had pre-organized the trip to Australia, where her husband Michael was originally from, so off they went.
We're still looking at several different areas. Again, we still have no clue who that second party was in the house that night.
Now, while they were, down under, the investigation continued. I mean, they had Tracy's story, and it seems to kind of match up, but they just needed to, cross the T's, dot the I's. And, well, a couple of things didn't exactly jive with self-defense, really. There were 9 wounds on Dustin's body, like 9 bullet holes, from 2 different guns. 3 of them were to the head, and the angle was from above. Okay, that's interesting. But Tracy, she had her story and she was sticking to it. Her truth, if you will, hey, that's my truth. You better believe it, sucker. Her truth, not the truth. Not long after the murder, Tracy went to visit the publisher of the Storm Lake Times, a local paper, and was like, all right, I got a good one to tell you. She was mad to tell her story to anyone and everyone who would listen, I guess I am kind of a hero, haven't I? And she told exactly what happened. On the 13th of December, at 4 p.m., Dustin popped over. He lived very close by. She said she never felt comfortable with him around, but, he was just hanging out. She was saved by a friend not long after who arrived, and then Dustin left. However, the friend, Marie, she was supposed to stay the night. Both their husbands were out of town on business, but due to some problems and some baseball scheduling with her son Bert, blah blah blah, her friend left. Then, that same day, the 13th, at 6 p.m., Tracy was bathing the youngest, daughter Mason. She heard a noise downstairs. She thought, Michael home early from his business trip, maybe? Nope, it was Dustin and some other guy, and they were hounding up the stairs. She ran with the baby and managed to put all the kids in the same room and lock the door before she was dragged away by her ponytail. They grabbed her and she tried to run to the gun safe, but she was choked out by pantyhose and went unconscious. She awoke to her kids screaming, the 2 intruders outside trying to kick the door in. Tracy was fucked, hazy, her specky's gone. But then, her Richter sense kicked in and she, cool as a cucumber, went to the gun safe, tried to unlock it after failing multiple times, and the 2 intruders obviously didn't give a shit. Then she managed to get the gun out. Whack, whack, whack. She then got the other one, have some of that. She started blasting. Didn't take long, Dustin was dead on the floor, the other guy fled.
There's this person who's still out there, and as a mother, I have a natural instinct to want to protect my children.
And son Bert backed up everything Tracy said about what happened. Though, as we will learn about Bert, he loved his mother a lot.
got the bat out, and I was holding it. Somebody ran in my room. I put my bat up, and they opened the door, but it was my mom, and I nearly hit her. But I mean, I didn't. I won't like. She had like paint nails around her arm, so I let her like had untie it.
That was her story. Buy her a beer. I mean, that was her story kind of for a bit, because maybe it'll change slightly. Let's learn a little bit more about T-Dog, Tracy Richter. Her backstory, there's a lot in it, and we will learn that the shooting of Dustin Weedy was just the latest in a long line of instances. Tracy, she was just, always up to no good.
Eye contact, elbow pump. Very nice, Andrew. Very nice. Next, apparently Carvana doesn't have any bogus fees.
Bogus? No, Tracy was born in May 1966 in Chicago. She grew into a pretty smart girl, so much so that she got a scholarship to study radiography. It was while studying that she met John Pittman III in 1987, and John fell head over heels for her. John was studying to be a doctor, and the two hit it off so well that they soon were engaged. The couple moved to Denver, where John started his residency, and the Pittman family lived nearby too. Tracy was just everything that John was looking for, in a woman. Kind of weirdly so, to be honest. She was sharing all the interests John had. But as soon as the I-do's were exchanged in 1988, Tracy changed. And she changed John to an extent. See, what happened was, John's parents, they lived nearby, and one day, both of his parents, their credit cards were stolen, right? And thousands were spent. Well, investigating, all signs pointed to Tracy. But John, no way, Jose, which then led to him kind of being separated, divided from the rest of his own family. John was then all Tracy's. All Tracy's when he was around. He was a doctor. He worked about 120 hours a week, which in turn then led to fractures between him and Tracy, and fights erupted all the time. One time they had a fight that escalated to the point where Tracy went upstairs, got a handgun, walked downstairs, pointed it at John. John said, "Fuck this," and he ran outside. While outside, he heard a single gunshot, and then Tracy walked out, apologized, and said she had tried to kill herself. John then called the police, just to be on the safe side. Tracy was charged with the discharge of a firearm and sent for a 6-month psychological treatment. Not long after, the couple had a Band-Aid baby, Bert, born in 1990, hoping this would help the marriage, but nope, nothing really changed for poor John and poor Bert. But John, he had a feeling Tracy wanted to increase his life insurance policy. Okay, odd. And he worked long hours, so Tracy would be, he could be up to anything when he was not around. So John hired a private investigator to have a go at her. Tracy was busy. She just liked dudes. Like a lot of dudes. Some, were up to no good. In 1992, John eventually moved the family again, this time to Chicago. Tracy was off the walls at this point. During the process of the move, their 3 dogs and 4 cats somehow got sold to an experimental lab. Tracy was responsible for organizing the pet moving. And then the last straw broke the camel's hump. This is some scary shit. One day, while at work, John got a call from Tracy. She was like, "Listen, I need to talk to you. Let's meet at the apartment." John said, okay. Not long after that, he got a call from the private detective who was tailing Tracy. John tells the private detective Tracy wants to meet up. And the PI says, that's not a very good, smart, you're a doctor, idea. Because their apartment was on the east side, and the PI was tailing Tracy west. John wisely didn't go back to the apartment, even when Tracy called him saying, "I'm here now, where are you?" After that, the marriage was over. Who knows what was waiting for John back in his apartment? Maybe a lollipop. The divorce was finalized in 1996, But the shitstorm was not over. The custody battle for young Bert was on. Tracy would accuse John Pittman of sexual abuse, child abuse, all that. The accusations were, found to be what they were, false. And it was also learned that Tracy had forged John's signature on the life insurance document, so, well, hey. In the end, though, Tracy got Bert, and John had to pay her thousands of dollars per month in child support. Not long after, Tracy met someone online, Aussie entrepreneur Michael Roberts. They hit it off. I mean, like, really, really hit it off. 18 days after they first met face-to-face, they were married. Michael would move from Australia to America permanently because he was just crikey about Tracy. You can probably tell where this is gonna go. A few months in, trouble was once again brewing. Tracy cheated. However, he stuck with her and stood by her through the custody battles with John. Michael Roberts had only, one opinion of John Pittman, an opinion molded by Tracy. Around the same time, Tracy was busy. She was always up to something. She also managed to accuse a dentist, a former boyfriend, Joseph Laspisa, of sexual assaults. She accused him that one time while she was under, he was doing all that. Basically, she woke up and he was wanking on top of her. And she tried to sue him for $150,000. Even at this early stage, Tracy proved to be not the most believable person, but this still cost him his livelihood. So, eventually Michael and Tracy, the Roberts, they moved to the town of Early, Iowa. Why? In 1998. The last decade, really, pretty busy for Tracy. She didn't really like wasting much time, so I guess when they moved, maybe Michael was hoping, well, maybe, there's not much she can get up to in Early, maybe that'll calm her down. Boy, was he wrong. Soon after the move, they welcomed their first child together, a boy, and then in 2000, a girl. They set up their own business, an IT company, and became part of the community and the church. They were well liked by the people of Early. Everything was picturesque on the surface, anyway. And then came that fatal evening of December the 13th, 2001, when Tracy Roberts, became a hero. She became a hero for killing neighborhood boy Dustin Weedy. Now, Dustin was a quiet kid, loved computers. He was a loner, gentle, but not someone you would think would do what he had done. So now we're back to late 2001. Michael, as I said, he rushed back to be at Tracy's side. He even offered a $10,000 reward for information on who Tracy, who was this other guy who broke into the house with Dustin. But Michael, he was shocked that this happened. He considered Dustin a friend. Why would he do this? Tracy said, that this didn't seem like it was about money, that it seemed like they were there for her. This was just murder. But why? Maybe there really just is nothing to do in Early, or maybe somebody put them up to it. What if Dustin had been hired to kill her? This was a contract killing. He mentioned this to Tracy. What about that dentist, Joseph Spisa? There was a court case coming up about her accusing him of sexual assault. Maybe he wanted her gone. Tracy said, that's good, but I got one better. I know who this was. I know who put Dustin up to this.
You in trouble? We find this boy, didn't put down anyone on the way. I'll get us out of this.
Those Originally Dead, rated R, in theaters on HBO Max Friday.
Ex-husband John Pittman, her nemesis. See, Dustin's car had been parked outside the Richter home. He was just, popping in to kill her. Just take a second. Inside Dustin's car, they found a pink notebook. In the notebook, Dustin wrote of a mysterious fellow named John Pittman, who had hired him to kill Tracy and 11-year-old Bert. Now, it was written in Dustin's handwriting, so, okay, it was him, but, like, what? Dustin and John, you know, would never have met. Like, and even if they had somehow met, why would John Pittman hire Dustin, a 20-year-old loner computer kid, to kill his ex-wife? Doesn't make sense at all. The police thought the story smelled like shit, but Tracy, she was sticking to that story. Tracy was happily pointing the finger at her ex-husband, John Pittman, and everybody lapped that up. The media, she even appeared on the Montel Williams show. Unfortunately, don't have a clip. Well, the police just thought everything was very fishy, and none of this added up. Eventually, though, you know, there wasn't really enough to go on, and it was closed as a self-defense shooting, you know, case closed. Tracy stayed married to Michael, and life went on. But as, you know, you've seen so far in the story, it won't stay boring for very long.
Damn.
Roughly a year after the shooting, on Thanksgiving Day 2002, a man was discovered unresponsive at a graveyard near Early. It was Brett Weedy, Dustin Weedy's father. He had shot himself by his son's final resting place. He left a note saying his heart was broken after Dustin's death, and he cried every day. More tragedy for the Weedy family. But they wouldn't roll over. In late 2003, they filed a wrongful death suit against Tracy. It was dismissed, however, in 2005. In the meantime, Michael and Tracy's marriage went south. Tracy had more affairs, they fought, same old story. She kicked and punched holes into walls. Of course, Michael, you know, would be the one ending of the police custody after these fights, where Tracy would come to his rescue, you know, taking him back from the police, taking him home, where the cycle can continue again. Michael, after a time, believed his time was running out as long as he was with Tracy. He thought on multiple times she came very close to ending him. Around that same time, Michael began to severely doubt Tracy's version of events during the Dustin Weedy shooting, and he went to speak with the investigators.
No, other than her statement,
Sure.
no indication that there ever was a second death.
Have you got forensics to back it up?
No, absolutely.
Gotta know what this leaky guy's about.
Fingerprints, no state. Fingerprints indicate a second guy.
In 2004, Michael, like John, had enough. He filed for divorce. In the meantime, Tracy, of course, accused him of abuse, of child abuse, of being just a horrible person. She's not even original. Like, this is exactly what she accused John of doing and being. But this time, Tracy had another trick up her sleeve. The attack. Tracy went to the police. Ooh, you know, actually, it wasn't John behind the attack. It was Michael. Michael, who just so happened to be out of town when it happened. What more do you need? Tracy told the police that Michael, he talks in his sleep. Get a load of this, and he just spilled the beans. He told her everything, you know, while he was asleep. There you go, he confessed. She would tell anybody who would listen that Michael was responsible for the attack. He's the one who put Dustin and this other intruder up to it, and that he was a crazy person. He was crazy. In 2007, the divorce was finalized. Tracy, despite Michael's best efforts, got the kids. From there, Tracy took the kids to Omaha, Nebraska. Michael, he moved not too far away, you know, to try and be close to his children. He would end up needing a restraining order against Tracy. See, Tracy was going to ride him the entire way. She went to the sheriff, right, in 2009 and had a picture of Dustin's body. She said Michael planted it in her car. He was trying to drive crazy. Now, Michael was cleared. The sheriff's office found no supporting anything against Michael, and they thought that Tracy Richter was trying to make reports against him because there was upcoming child support proceedings. They were looming, and she was basically just trying to screw him over. Tracy, you know, seeing that the police weren't interested in basically nailing Michael Roberts to the wall, she told the lead detective that he had, and I quote, made her list, so better watch out. Around this time, she'd also get convicted of welfare fraud and get probation. Now, this is kind of a weird part, but bear with me. Around this time, talking about 2010, Tracy Richter changed her name from Tracy Richter to Sophia Therese Corina Baronin Edwards. She was living under that name, her business was under that name, and she also went around town with a British accent, which I'm sure was hilarious. Just bizarre. So while she was, busy trying to frame ex-husband number 2, Michael Roberts, for anything and everything she absolutely could, Tucker shot Kennedy, a new prosecutor, entered the picture and reopened the shooting of Dustin Weedy. New things were discovered. Namely, Dustin had been shot in the back of the head while laying on the floor. This was not self-defense. This was murder. Also, there were no signs of forced entry. The Roberts, unlike neighbors, they did lock their doors, but their doors weren't busted in. They also entered without weapons. This entire scene didn't make sense. And on the 27th of July 2011, Tracy Richter was arrested for the murder of Dustin Weedy.
Yesterday, Iowa law enforcement arrested 45-year-old Tracy Ann Richter Roberts for 2001 death of 20-year-old Dustin Weedy. Richter Roberts is charged with murder and first-degree Class A felony, and she is currently being held in the Douglas County Jail in Omaha, Nebraska.
Mother of 3 is jailed for murder tonight in Omaha.
For a shooting that happened a decade ago in central Iowa. Take a look at Tracy Richter Roberts. Her ex-husband gave us this picture. In 2001, she told investigators that she shot a home invader.
Well, now the Sac County Sheriff's Office says new evidence proves otherwise.
Investigators believe the shooting was premeditated.
At Carvana, we treat every customer like we would treat our own moms. With care and respect. To us, the little things are the big things. Which is why we do everything in our power to make buying a car an unforgettable experience. We treat every customer like we would treat our own moms. Because that's what they deserve.
You really want to die for this kid?
What happens next? Look him right in the eye.
Those originals yet rated R. Theaters on HBO Max Friday.
Murder. She's a divorced mother of 3, recently engaged. Now, Tracy Richter Roberts is a murder suspect.
Oh, no.
ago, she told authorities she killed Dustin Weedy in self-defense at her home in early Iowa. Now investigators believe she planned the killing herself.
It was obvious that she made every attempt to think things out, and was very calculating in how she handled all her affairs.
The arrest complaint says Richter Roberts deliberately shot 20-year-old Dustin Weedy with 2 separate handguns, and that a piece of evidence was found in Weedy's car following the murder. Investigators believe she manufactured and planted that same evidence in Weedy's car to make him look like a home invader. The sheriff says only investigators and Richter Roberts know the details of that evidence.
Richter Roberts accused her ex-husband and father of her children of planting a crime scene photo from that Iowa murder in her car, she said, to make her look bad at a custody hearing. Well, the whole story raised red flags for investigators.
He just had a hunch that, that there was just something not right.
Richter Roberts' family, including her brother, who's a police detective in Chicago, stand by her story that 2 intruders almost beat her to death.
You know what happened? Love her very much. She defended her parents. I have a question.
Funnily enough, when they arrested her, Tracy had in her possession more name change, like documents. She was going to change her name again. This time, it would be Heidi Joanna Frostbacher, right? Unusual name, interesting. Where'd that come from? I hear you're barking, big dog. So get a load of this, right? Heidi Frostbacher just so happens to be the same name as Michael Roberts, his new wife. So what are the odds? The trial of Tracy Richter began on the 24th of October, 2011. This is what the prosecution said happened.
The evidence in this case will show that the defendant did not want to lose physical custody to Dr. Pittman of her. It will show that the defendant did not like Dr. Pittman. She had a strong dislike for Dr. Pittman. So the defendant came up with a plan to make it look like Dr. Pittman was involved in hiring Dustin Weedy to hurt her. Dustin Weedy was at her house on December 13th. There is a pink spiral notebook that he's writing in. The pink spiral notebook will contain information. It appears to make it look like a journal, although there's no dates. And in the information in that pink spiral notebook, it will show that Dustin's writing, Dustin claims that Dr. Pittman had hired Dustin to either kill the defendant and their son Bert, or to make it look like it was a murder-suicide that the defendant killed Bert and their son. But Dr. Pittman will tell you he didn't kill Dustin Weedy.
Tracy Richter bought the notebook. She lured Dustin over that day. Her friend turned up, so she had to make up an excuse for them to leave. Then, when Dustin came back over later that day, she held him at gunpoint and forced him to write all that stuff in the journal, saying he had been hired by John Pittman. Then she killed him and planted the book in his car. Dustin was shot in the head for the last time 10 minutes after the previous shot. Tracy wanted to make sure he was dead before the police arrived. Tracy said she was choked out by pantyhose, yet that didn't match her injuries. She just made up everything.
Verdict form number 1, we the jury find the defendant, Tracy and Richter, guilty of the crime of murder in the first instance. That's your verdict. The defense counsel wish to hold the verdict of the jury.
You'd think it'd be over, right, when she was found guilty on the 4th of November 2011. Nope. She's got more shit up her sleeve. On the 5th of December 2011, Tracy was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. in my head in every possible scenario and how things maybe could have ended up differently. I do believe that you deserve justice. I really do. But I didn't murder your son. In prison, she became best buds, a pen pal, with a convicted child rapist named Jim Landa. They wrote creepy letters to each other, and in one letter she sent him, she gave him enough information to be able to find Michael Roberts and her own 2 kids, and was basically like, well, if something happens, you know, wink wink. She also tried, like from prison, to destroy the reputations of those she said wronged her. There was a site called Rip-Off Report. It doesn't seem to exist anymore, but basically a person can publish a complaint which then stays up. If the accused person wants the complaint to be removed, a $2,000 non-refundable fee has to be paid, and the evidence of the falseness of his complaint has to be presented. So basically anybody can post anything about anyone and make shite of your reputation. John Pittman and Michael Roberts were both highly impacted by this. Tracy's son Bert, it seems she had quite a lot of control over him. She used him as a pawn then to get information about John and Michael. As for Michael Roberts, back in 2011 he got full custody of the children and moved to California with them. His plan was to move back to Australia, but that plan was shattered when Tracy was convicted, and it was ruled that she had visitation rights with the children. Then in 2014, after another long battle, Michael and his family successfully moved back to Brisbane, Australia. They are now safe from Tracy. They got away. Not everybody was that fortunate.
December of 2000, Tracy assaulted me, physically assaulted me, and I told her at that point I was going to file for divorce. And 45 minutes later I was in handcuffs. She attempted to murder me. Several times.
How did you do that?
I had been systematically drugged over a period of time, I think maybe a minimum of a week, maybe a little bit more. And I thought I was having some sort of breakdown. I was off with the fairies. I did not know whether I was in reality
Morse Mutual,
or dream state.
how can I be of service?
And,
okay.
She said she wanted to do a trust exercise with me. And I thought, that's like fall over backwards, she'll catch me. I'm like, whatever's going to save this marriage. And she had rolled me up in king-size cotton sheets. And when I woke up, I was in like a cocoon state. And she was sitting on top of me, and I had a plastic bag over my head. She asked me to take deep breaths until I pass out. She would then take the bag off my head. I would wake up, and I would trust her forever because I would know that she could have killed me, and yet she didn't.
Now, there is a movement, albeit small, that says Tracy is innocent. She is wrongfully convicted. That Michael must have told Dustin about John Pittman, and Dustin really did try and kill her. This is led by Bert Pittman, now Bert Richter. There's also another man, some have said, could have been the second intruder, but he was cleared by the police, and I don't believe she's been wrongfully convicted. She absolutely destroyed the lives of many people, entire families, her own family even, and ultimately destroyed her own life as well by bringing it all upon herself. So I guess you kind of could say, right, this has a happy ending. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it, and I appreciate you for taking the time to watch this whole video. Listen, I'll see you as always real soon in the next one. Till then, please look after yourselves. Mike out.
Turning our attention back to around March of last year, at that time were you married?
Yes, I was.
And to whom were you married?
Nicholas Don Boat.
When did you and Nick get married?
January 1st of 2000.
together?
Yes, we did.
How many children?
We had 2 children together.
How old are they?
Andrew is 20 years old and Emma is 18.
How did you feel when you realized on March 12th that Nick had left?
Heartbroken, sad, despondent, devastated, destroyed. Like, my whole life had just fucked out the door. There weren't gonna be any more Thanksgivings or Christmases without him. He was my whole life.
What happened to Vermeer?
Knock, knock! Dave here! We're in a bit of a crisis situation.
And he came out of the building and got in the truck, and they ate whatever they got from Burger King. I'm assuming is what they ate, because they ate. And then he turned to her and he kissed her. And then he kissed her again.
What did you do?
I got out because I wanted to tell her. I wanted to tell her how much I wanted him back. And I wanted her to leave him. And I got out of the truck. I got out of the car. And I went around to talk to her. And I opened the truck door, and she started hitting me and screaming at me. Call me a crazy person.
Was there anything else that you noticed when you opened the door to the truck?
Yes, it smelled like smoke. The truck smelled like smoke, and we just purposely quit smoking to buy that truck. That's what the money we used to pay for that truck.
So what's happening now between you and Tracy?
She was hitting me and hitting me and hitting me. And I had my hands up. She was yelling at me. I just snapped. I grabbed the knife and I just stabbed her. And I ran back around the car and went home.
Those tears started about 30 seconds. Now, as you know, trial rebounds is facts in the law. We talk about it all the time. The facts, the jury determines what the facts are in each case, but it's based upon what the evidence is. The evidence comes in forms of physical things and exhibits, but also the testimony of the witnesses, like the defendant, Michelle Boat. So, if in fact the jury takes her at her word and believes what she says, doesn't help her case. So let's bring it on Jeremy Venture, who is in Knoxville, Iowa, for all of this today. What a day. So let's start here with the big picture on all of this, okay? So this is the only evidence for the defense that they are presenting themselves. So if the jury believes everything that Michelle Boat said, how does that help her case legally?
Well, legally, like her attorney said in opening, they're asking for something much less than premeditated murder, which would send her away for life without parole here in Iowa. They're asking for manslaughter. Here in the state of Iowa, that's voluntary or involuntary manslaughter. They're meaning involuntary manslaughter. That is the sudden passion murder. That is when she was provoked, has serious provocation, immediately has this irresistible passion to kill. She killed someone. And the caveat with that, Vinny, is that there's no sort of cooling off period as what's provided under the law. No time for her to step back and do what a reasonable person would have done, which is change his or her mind and not choose to murder someone. So that is what she is hoping this jury believed by saying over and over again that she snapped. She didn't remember. She just sort of was not in her right mind, as she told the jury today, that she was being hit repeatedly by Tracy Mondabaugh, that she had her glasses knocked off, she was being scratched and hit in the face, and she just turns into her car, grabs through the window the knife, and chooses to stab Tracy Mondabaugh in this heat of passion, if you will. So if the jury believes what Michelle Bolt hopes they do, then maybe possibly they could come back with manslaughter, which would be much less than only up to 10 years, and likely with her lack of criminal history, something much less.
So it comes down to the moment, right? So the defense case really is focusing on the moment of that interaction, not what led up to it, not falling at the news, not the jealousy, not bitterness, any of that. It's just the moment of that confrontation or that interaction, whatever you want to call it at this moment. So for her telling this story, were there parts that you didn't remember that would undermine this whole defense? And because I'm thinking back to other cases where people have testified, and of course Jodi Arias comes to mind, and she was kind of in self-defense mode with her testimony. But then there were moments where she went into this thing called the fog, where she just didn't remember. So was there the equivalent of the Michelle Bolt fog? Were there moments of this whole, this killing that she just, at the time of her testimony, just doesn't remember things?
Not necessarily. Not from what I picked up on. I felt like she could recall most of those details. She remembers that during this tussle or struggle that her glasses are knocked off. She goes and retrieves her glasses. She remembers even after the fact that she grabbed Tracy Mondabaugh's purse and strung all the contents out of the purse just to see if she had cigarettes in her purse, because that truck smelled like cigarettes, and she knew that Nick Bolt would not be smoking in that truck because they quit smoking to help pay for the truck. So she was even blaming Tracy Mondabaugh for the fact that he was smoking again, or she was smoking in that truck that belonged to her estranged husband. She remembers also wiping blood or her hair, doing the motion that the eyewitness told the jury about the other day, and just wiping her hair off her face that was covered in blood. She's very detailed in her account of what she remembers. Really, the only thing she's saying is that she was just out of her mind, out of her head. And I know that you brought up the fact that they want to focus on that moment, but I think also the defense wants the jury to consider those past 69 days or so, because this was almost like a build-up, if you will. It was a build-up of all of these things happening, and at that moment, that sudden provocation was just too much for her to handle, and she just couldn't resist this urge to take action in that moment.
And is the provocation being hit allegedly by the victim in this case when she opened her door, or is the provocation the fact that she sees them together? What exactly do we believe will be the argument as to what provoked this all and was so sudden that she could not resist that impulse?
That's a bit unclear, but I'm sure the prosecution will say those two kisses between Nick and Tracy Mondabaugh, that
was minutes before this happened. Remember, that's at near the workplace. He had continued to follow Tracy all the way to this apartment building, behind the apartment building. I've been there. You have to go behind and down the alley, down a hill to get back behind this apartment building where the garage is, where she was murdered. So I'm thinking that the defense is going to argue that it was a more immediate provocation. Yes, it was built up over time and even the night before, but in that moment had to be when she swung the door open to confront Tracy. Tracy was immediately combative, calling her a crazy B word and hitting her and attacking her, in the words of Michelle Boat, and that would have been the provocation. Plus, in addition to smelling the cigarette smoke, she pointed to that in her testimony, that really irked her, that provoked her, because she knew that was wrong and that was Tracy's fault. And also the location. That apartment was apparently where Michelle Boat and Nick Boat first lived 21 years ago when they first got together. So that was even more of a slap in the face, if you will, to Michelle Boat, and according to her testimony.
All right, that's the direct. Shanley Painter staying with us. When we come back, we'll take a look at the cross-examination, because you know there's nothing like when a criminal defendant accused of murder is on the witness stand and the prosecutor has an opportunity for cross-examination. Let's see that.
All right, everyone, welcome to the Carvana Focus Group. My name's Christina. I work in the research department. Now that you had a few minutes to play around with the app, does anyone have any questions?
Yes, hi, Dave Samuels here. You're telling me I can buy a car entirely online?
You got it.
And then you'll deliver it to me? Or I can pick it up at a car vending machine?
That's correct.
And if I don't like it, I can simply return it for another one?
That's exactly right.
I don't get it.
That's all right. That's what this focus group is for. Any other questions before we begin?
Oh, hi, Becky Davidson.
Just so you're aware, you don't need to all keep saying your names. You have name tags on.
Hi, Becky Davidson. I was wondering, what if I have a small budget?
No problem. Carvana lets you customize your down payment and monthly payment on your dream car.
What if I have too much money?
Same answer.
I've got money up the wazoo.
Hey, it's me, Steve Rutherford. Bonsoir. Are these cars high quality?
Carvana cars are extremely high quality. All our cars go through a rigorous 150-point inspection and reconditioning process.
So let's say I buy a car. Can I launch my dirt bike over it?
Sure. Can you do that?
I don't have to answer that.
Hi there, Dave Samuels. Yes, so wait, how long will it take for me to buy this car?
Feel free to take as much time as you'd like, but you could realistically complete the purchase process in as little as 10 to 15 minutes.
I don't get it.
What happens if I go to Carvana, find a car that I like, purchase it, receive said car, love it, and then have that car?
You keep living your life with the car you love.
I truly don't understand. Am I the only one?
Oh, I think I get it now. I got this. So it's just like how you used to buy a car. You go to a dealership, do that whole headache, haggle with the guys on the floor, and then you...
Sorry to interrupt, but it's actually not like that at all. It's super simple and done entirely online. And you don't need to haggle, because we offer our best price up front.
So basically what I said.
Our transparent pricing is free from any bogus fees, hidden fees, upcharges, or other add-ons. The price you see is the price you pay.
Oh, sorry to interrupt. Kevin, the sound guy. Can I sell my car on Carvana too?
Yes. You can trade it in for another car or get some quick cash.
Sweet.
Hey, what are you doing?
Sorry.
Christina!
Mom? What are you doing here?
Well, I have questions just like everyone else. Can I shop by fuel efficiency?
Yes. You can filter cars by fuel type, gas, electric, hybrid, and miles per gallon.
Great! So, why should we all trust you?
Well, I'm your daughter, but also, you don't have to take our word for it. Check out our nearly 50,000 customer reviews, averaging 4.7 out of 5 stars.
Hey there, Angry Santa. Can I buy a sleigh on Carvana?
Unfortunately, it's just cars.
Well, gosh darn it! Dadgummit!
How many cars do you guys even have?
We have over 30,000 cars to choose from.
Is this table real wood?
Yep.
My name is Steve, yeah?
I think so.
What's Carvana?
Well, Carvana...
Are you coming home for dinner?
Yes, Mom.
How do you ride a dirt bike?
I don't know.
Hi, Dave Samuels here. So I think I get it now.
Happy to hear it.
I can buy a car I love entirely online and feel great doing it.
That's exactly right.
I do have one more question.
Go for it.
I like cars.
That's not a question.
Got it.
So if that's all the questions anyone has, let's get the focus group started. Never mind, we're out of time. Car buying 100% online. It's real. Really. at Carvana.
You have a product you're passionate about, and now's the time to grow your online sales. Klaviyo can help. Klaviyo is the ultimate marketing platform for growing online sales. Build higher value customer relationships using email automation, SMS marketing, and list growth tools. Turn your dream into a reality with a free Klaviyo account.
Day and age to do things electronically or in other ways that would not require a physical presence. But unfortunately, in many instances, that's not the case.
Well, we certainly could do better, right? I mean, what you're describing doesn't make any sense, right? Because it doesn't make any sense to anybody listening to this. Yet even those who would benefit would have trouble really being able to explain why this is a good idea. I mean, we're saying you make more money and your tax returns are more complex, more likely you're going to be out of paying your taxes, right, than somebody who's got a simple form, working hard, has withholding, and is just going to work every day and paying taxes. So thank you, Mr. Chairman, for this.
Thank you very much, Senator Stebbins. We'll turn to Senator Daines, who's here in the room, and then Chairman Wyden will be recognized next. Great. Senator Daines.
Thanks, Chairman Whitehouse. I think it's very safe to say that all Republicans and Democrats oppose tax evasion and support taking steps to close the tax gap. Congress supported President Trump's budget proposals to increase IRS funding as well as the enforcement resources, which incorporated the Congressional Budget Office's recommendations. I do believe there is room for further bipartisan cooperation to address the tax gap. However, I do have some concerns about President Biden's proposal to increase the IRS budget by an unprecedented $80 billion over 10 years. I'm even more concerned that the administration is using the highly questionable estimate of some $700 billion in revenue raised as a key offset for its latest $2 trillion infrastructure package. I've not seen the modeling that explains exactly how this $700 billion in net revenue will be raised, and to my knowledge, nobody outside the administration has either. Ms. Olson, a former IRS Commissioner Koskinen recently stated that he's not sure if the IRS will be able to use that $80 billion effectively. Would you agree with that statement?
I think that it will be very hard for the IRS to ramp up that quickly. What Commissioner Zombie has said is sustained increase over their basic, what the unions have just keep the lights on and do their basic job, and that set aside over a sustained period of years to bring on the technology and the skilled employees, different skill sets, to be able to use that technology wisely. And then the last thing is it needs continued congressional oversight to make sure that those dollars are applied well. But it needs to be a level increase over a sustained period of years, not a really huge ramp up that won't be able to do that well.
Well, thanks for your thoughtful answer. The follow-up on that would be that the CBO estimated last year that an additional $40 billion in funding to the IRS would result in a net revenue collection of $63 billion. $40 billion invested, $63 billion collected. Could you explain how doubling that funding level to $80 billion would magically produce an additional $637 billion in net revenue?
I don't know that, I'm not an economist and I don't know what underlies any of those numbers. If you're focusing on the highest income, so you may get a greater return on investment there than just the basic level of return of investment of 4 to 5. That may be something, but again, I can't answer where those numbers come from.
Yeah, we're just pointing the gap between $40 billion and $63 billion, $40 billion invested for doing back from CBO, and the administration suggesting $80 billion with $637 billion. That's a huge, huge disconnect. Mr. Johnson, some of my colleagues across the aisle like to state that low-income individuals are audited at higher rates than high-income individuals. We had Commissioner Reddick before the Finance Committee in mid-April. I think he did a pretty good job of responding to this charge, but I think it's worth highlighting that once again. My question, Mr. Johnson, are you more likely to get audited if you are a low-income taxpayer or a high-income taxpayer?
I think you're asking what the audit rates are for the different taxpayer groups, and the audit rate for low-income taxpayers is lower as a percentage of all taxpayers in that category than the audit rate for higher income taxpayers. Again, total positive income.
Yeah, I just want to dispel this myth where we've heard some of my colleagues suggest that low-income individuals are audited at higher rates than high-income individuals. Of note, according to the IRS, record high-income taxpayers, this would be over $1 million, are audited at about an 8% rate, whereas earned income tax credit recipients are audited at about 1.12%. Just want to set the record straight on that data coming from the IRS. Mr. Chairman, thank you. Yield back my time.
Thank you very much, and I have the privilege now to turn to Chairman Wyden.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for scheduling a very important hearing and your long history of going after these kinds of cases and trying to protect taxpayers. What I'd like to do with our panel, we've got a terrific panel here, is to better understand how the IRS uses the tools at its disposal to enforce collection from repeat offenders. And hopefully we talked about that yet, and what we're talking about is high-income non-filers with multiple years of unfiled tax, unfiled tax returns. And 26 U.S. Code 7203 makes the willful failure to file a tax return and failure to pay federal income tax a crime. So what we're talking about is high-income individuals with multiple years of unfiled tax returns, and the agency recently estimated there were almost 50,000 high-income non-filers owing $7.1 million in taxes with multiple unfiled returns for tax years 2014 through 2016. So my question is for you, Mr. O'Donnell, for cases involving high-income non-filers, people with multiple years of unfiled returns, has the IRS made any recent criminal referrals to the tax division of the Department of Justice for the willful failure to file tax returns or pay estimated tax?
Thank you, Senator Wyden. I am uncertain whether or not we've made any criminal referrals to the Department of Justice. I will certainly look into that and get back to you. But what I can say is that our revenue officers are working out in the field ensuring that high-income non-filers that we're aware of are being brought into compliance, and we're using all tools available to bring them into compliance. And currently in this environment where it's very difficult to go out into the field, but our revenue officers continue to perform that work.
Well, respectfully, Mr. O'Donnell, I don't understand how one can assert that all tools are being used when we're talking about high-income filers, multiple years of unfiled returns, an estimate of $7.1 billion in taxes in just 2 years, and you're not aware of whether there were any criminal referrals to the tax division of the Department of Justice. So what I would like you to do is to furnish to Chairman Whitehouse and myself, as Chairman of the whole committee, why this is the case, and you say you weren't aware of any, because I just believe it sends a message that there's not much of a deterrent there. If there hasn't been any referrals at all, and that's why we're going to need the facts, I would like that to be available to myself, the Chairman of the full committee, Chairman Whitehouse, within 2 weeks. Can you make that possible?
Yes, Senator. And just to clarify my response, this is my second day in this role, and I'm not yet up to speed on that program, but I'll certainly get there and be happy to provide the information you've asked for.
Thank you, and I certainly understand that if you're new there, that it takes some time to gather all the facts. But I think you can get a sense of why I think this is a showstopper kind of question. The peak spenders, enormous sums of money involved. So this is not somebody making a once in a rare instance kind of mistake. We got to get on top of that. So we'll expect to get an explanation in 2 weeks about whether there have been any referrals, and if there have been, why there haven't been, and what can be done about it. Okay? 2 weeks.
Yes, I will do.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairman Wyden. I think we have Senator Cortez Masto standing by electronically, and I would call on her if she is available.
Thank you, Chairman Whitehouse. Ms. Olson, let me start with you. You recommended in your testimony that the IRS could use data and technology not just to find those taxpayers who are non-compliant, but to help taxpayers ensure they get full access to the benefits that they deserve. In our last hearing with the IRS Commissioner, I raised that the Advanced Child Tax Credit portal should provide ease.
Senator Cortez Masto, we are having trouble hearing you in the hearing room. I don't know if there's a sound issue of some kind.
Let me try that. Is that better? Can you hear me okay?
That seems to be better. We hear you, and we'll restart the clock. Nope. Still stuck. Your screen is not quite frozen, but moving very, very slowly. Senator Cortez Masto, we're being advised that you might turn off your video, and then your voice would be able to come through. Taking advice from me on a technological matter is not the wisest thing, but there you are, so it worked.
Better. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we hear you well. Proceed.
Wonderful. Thank you. Sorry the technical difficulties. Ms. Olson, if you can hear me okay, you recommended in your testimony that the IRS could use data and technology not just to find those taxpayers who are non-compliant, but to help taxpayers get full access that they deserve. In our last hearing, I raised that the Advanced Child Tax Credit should provide access for taxpayers who find them in unique situations, such as domestic violence survivors. So my question to you is, could the portal be designed to help domestic violence survivors get their Advanced Child Tax Credit?
Yes, absolutely. I think that because the marital status, the household status where the children reside will have changed by perhaps with the domestic violence survivors by the time that the last filed return has been filed, that the portal would first, there should be a portal to allow them to do a simplified electronic filing so that they can update their filing easily. And then also the change of circumstances portal should allow them to enter their change in marital status and also where the children are. And because it is likely that there would be a disagreement between the abuser and the survivor as to where the children are, there needs to be an appeals process, an expedited appeals process, so the survivor and others can come in and submit documentation to show and not have to, that where the children are, and not have to wait until the filing of the next year's tax return in order to get the advance credit. And there are procedures in the IRS, like the collection appeals process, where there's a 2 to 3 day turnaround, from the appeals officers when they get the case. And the benefit of that is it minimizes improper payments.
Thank you. Ms. Olson, thank you so much. I really appreciate that because this is an area that we need to prioritize, and I know there's a way to get it done. I appreciate your comment. I'm going to give the rest of the
11.
Hanging in there as our IT administration. Thank you all for your service. My first questions are not here to review, but to Mr. Johnson and Deputy Commissioner.
Feels weird picking it up. The legacy of that shield is
Hey, welcome back. Today we're going to be doing a ignition switch 2003 GMC Sierra 1500. First step is you're going to remove the lower cowling here on the bottom of the stern. And once we get that off, we'll be back. I'll be back to see you. Alright, we already removed the lower cowling here. I'll show you how that happened. This is the lower cowling piece. There's going to be a screw in this location and in this location to remove it. And then you're just going to gently pull it off. It's got a couple of pins here, 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 here. It hooks in the back here. Okay, so don't be pulling on the back. Yep. Yes, okay. So don't pull on the back. Okay? Whenever you take it apart, be careful, because you got little clips in there, you can't break them easily. To remove the column adjuster, it goes in right there. Like that. All you're going to do is just pull it straight out. It might be stuck in there a little bit. Just do a pull with a little bit of force, it should pop right out. This side. This is your ignition switch. Okay? It is not, actually no, this is the key cylinder. Alright? It is not the ignition switch. This is your ignition switch. You're just going to unplug it. Actually, it already popped out. Alright. To pull it out, you see these little clips here? The little spring clips. You're just going to take a small tool like a screwdriver or a pin or a pick, stick them inside of these holes right here. At the same time, it'll release it and you get to pull it straight out. Straight out. And afterwards, you're just going to remove it. Okay? You're going to disconnect your cable from the bottom here. Take your new one, which is, where's the new one? Take a new one, got my new one right here. And it'll just insert back in place like that. Circuit with one hinge. Like, it, come on, pal. Huh? There you go, sliding in. Give me a couple minutes to figure that out. Sounds good, right? All right, guys, I'm back. So we're all back together now. Everything works great. See, we're all good. As you can tell, it's nighttime already. So my problem was it just you have to jiggle the key a little bit in order to get the pop in. Just turn it, rock it forward and back, and it should pop right in for you. But when you go to pull it out, and make sure the old one, you can just turn this and push it on. Okay, got 3 positions to it. You're going to want to set your key to either on or auxiliary. And then when you pull the old one out, you're just going to note what position it's in. Okay, it's going to be on and start. So in between on and off is going to be your auxiliary position. Alright, so you're going to want to turn the key to the on position before you remove it, and then set the new one into the on position. Alright? And pop it back in, and if it doesn't go right in, just move the key back just a hair, or forward just a hair, and it should pop right in. And with these little spring clips here, all you should really have to do is just jiggle and pull, and it'll pop right out. You don't even have to use a tool to pop it out. Alright? That's going to be it for this tutorial. Leave me a like if this helps you out at all, and leave comments, and if you have any questions, just go ahead and ask. Thanks again. Bye.
Can I write up the Wi-Fi in my son's treehouse? If that's where you get your freelancing done, then yep. Thank you! File with the help of an expert, or let an expert file for you. Intuit TurboTax Live.
We reckon we found the worst paint job in Australia. So we're going to transform this old Luxie from this to this in just 2 days.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today we got a like a 2003-ish Suburban. This thing needs an ignition switch. It's doing some funky things, but this is the ignition switch right here. It's pretty easy to do. Just take off the bottom of that steering wheel, and should be a Torx bolt, and then just pry the cover off. All we need to do is just take off the bottom piece, because the way this thing is set in there, it's inside like that. We'd have to push in this pin and this pin in order to slide it out. That way we can take the harness off and replace it. But yeah, let's get started. Okay, so I found out that the Torx bolt is already out, as you can see it. I don't know if you can see that, but found out it was already out. I didn't take it out, but all we need to do now is just pry it out. So, or pry off the cover itself. You can go ahead and try to show you on there. Oh, I forgot to mention right here we also have to remove the tilt. That's what tilts the steering wheel. So just put it by it like that, and then you start just pry it out. Okay. But after that, we just need to start prying the cover just open. Be careful when you do it. You don't want to damage your column. There we go. Now your ignition switch is going to be this part right here. Okay, so what you're going to do is these 2 pins right here is the one that I was talking about earlier. What I do is I pull down on it first, push in the pin, push in this pin, and push in this pin again. And it should just pop out. Show you. Now, also, this little harness right here that goes with the key, they need to break down. And now, just pull down. There's that one right there, and the new one. Now, you see how this is different? They're right there. You want to avoid messing with this because it'll take it off of the alignment, and I'll show you an example of what happens if you misalign it. But yeah, just want to put the new one on. Okay, so I turned it all the way down, and the way I'm going to know if it's on the run position is by turning this. You can feel it kind of like spring-loaded. That means it's all the way on. Now, for example, let's, you know what, I'm going to turn the key back. Gotta leave the key there. Sorry about that. The battery to Suburban actually died. But we had it on the on position, just like that. And this is when it's correctly. So off, everything would be off. You put it on, it'll crank just fine. Now, I'm going to show you an example of what happens if you miss load. Okay, so I went like about 2 teeth over. The first thing that you should see is that battery light over there. When the battery light is on, means that the ignition was just slightly turned. Because look, that's the key all the way on. You can still start it perfectly. Everything will work perfectly. But then, once you turn it all the way off, this is completely off, key removed. Battery light on. That means, like I said, that means something's off. The ignition switch is turned.
Tuesday, May 11th, let's get smarter. This morning, families, including mine, nationwide are getting the good news that they have been waiting for. The FDA has approved Pfizer's COVID vaccine for kids as young as 12 years old. HHS Secretary Javier Becerra will join me live straight ahead. While in Washington, President Biden is telling states to tighten the rules around unemployment benefits, making sure if you get offered a good job, you gotta take it. And Republicans claim to be the Big Tent party open to free thought. So why are they going to punish Congresswoman Liz Cheney for speaking truth to the country, and more specifically, Donald Trump? I want to start with the big news from the FDA. NBC's Miguel Almaguer is covering that. Chris Jansen in New York City, and Dr. Michael Mina, Assistant Professor of Epidemiology at Harvard School of Public Health. Miguel, now that this thing is approved, when can kids start getting it? When I saw the headline, I almost skipped the show and took my kids to CVS.
Yes, a lot of families across the country are certainly very excited about this. Now, they're not able to get the shot yet, but likely very soon. As you mentioned, the FDA did clear that major hurdle for children 12 to 15 years old to get vaccinated. Now the CDC Advisory Committee needs to review the data, also meet separately, and they too are expected to give this approval. Now that group is meeting tomorrow on Wednesday, so we expect as early as Thursday, kids will be able to start getting vaccinated. Now those 12 to 15-year-olds will likely be able to go to one of three places: their local pediatrician's office, perhaps even some of those mass clinics, though there may be some hurdles there. Also, they may be able to go to even their own local high school. It's the same dose and the same two-shot regimen as adults have been getting, so they may start getting their vaccinations as early as Thursday. Stephanie?
Doctor, let's talk about that. Those kids, in many cases half the size of adults, there's not a concern that it's too much on their bodies, because especially that second vaccine, it can knock you out. Dr. Mena?
Yep. It is a very strong vaccine, but in general, the vaccine has been shown to be very, very safe for all age groups that it's been trialed in this point. And so I don't think we have a huge concern that it's really going to be harmful at all. But certainly I think people should be ready for their children to potentially be feeling the side effects of it, meaning some minor, almost flu-like side effects for a day after each of the doses.
You know, we often hear, oh, kids don't get really sick, but that's not the case. Explain why this is such a big deal, because a lot of the new cases out there right now are young children.
Yeah, so children can still spread this virus. So for the good of the entire community, meaning all age classes, it's very important for us to continue working to get as many people across the country vaccinated as possible. And that includes, in this case, children who are going to be some of the major drivers of new infections, especially now that the older age classes have been vaccinated. So continuing the march downwards in age to get more and more children vaccinated is going to be a crucial step for the end game in the United States with this pandemic.
And the march outward to those who either are hesitant about getting it or haven't had access. Chris, tell us what is happening in New York City to get to some of those people who haven't had shots yet.
Hey, Steph, welcome to Times Square. It's one of the places that New York City is offering vaccines, the single-shot Johnson & Johnson vaccine, to tourists, hoping a shot in the arm literally will help the proverbial shot in the arm to the economy.
However, the number one polling issue was election integrity. And you know I'm the chief strategist for the Network Contagion Research.
Eye contact, elbow pump. Very nice, Andrew. Very nice. Next, apparently Carvana doesn't.
Institute, and I have to agree, this is a political calculation because what we're seeing is that the QAnon has sort of reverted to new world order, and what you're seeing with conspiracy theories and what you're seeing with Stop the Steal, what you're seeing with election integrity, it is polling 25 to 30 points above the next issue. So this is a political calculation, and sadly, this is also an offering from McCarthy and the GOP conference to Mar-a-Lago. And a lot of it has to do with the polling in some of these districts they think they can win. It has nothing to do with a moral certitude. It has nothing to do with integrity. It is purely a political calculation based on polling and fundraising. And Liz Cheney is the offering to Mar-a-Lago and President Trump that Kevin McCarthy needs to keep his position and move forward.
What Liz Cheney is consistent. Actually, I want to share what Republican Senator Lindsey Graham said last night, because it is the opposite of consistent.
The most popular Republican in America, it's not Lindsey Graham, it's not Liz Cheney, it's Donald Trump. People on our side of the aisle believe that Trump policies worked. They're disappointed that he lost. And to try to erase Donald Trump from the Republican Party is insane. And the people who try to erase him are going to wind up getting erased.
So he's saying that he learned that the hard way, because immediately after the January 6th insurrection, Lindsey Graham said he had never been so humiliated and embarrassed for the country. He very clearly expressed frustration over how Trump handled the riot. And soon after saying that, he got heckled by hardcore Trumpers at an airport, and then he came running back.
Well, it's not just Senator Graham, it's Leader McCarthy.
originally said Donald Trump was one of the blame for the January 6th attacks. It's Leader McConnell who was quite harsh and critical of Donald Trump's role in those attacks. He, of course, has been a little more consistent, but it's worth noting that even McConnell, when asked on Fox News if he would support Donald Trump if he was the Republican nominee in 2024, said, I believe the direct vote is absolutely. There's very few people. I can point to someone like Mitt Romney, for instance, who came out, condemned what happened on January 6th, condemned the former president's role in it, dealt with that harsh heckling in air quotes, same as Mitt Romney, the booing in a state convention, and stuck to his principles. Just about everyone else, again, as you mentioned earlier, has raced out to Mar-a-Lago to kiss the ring to try to placate former President Trump, and that's why you're seeing, in part, this shake-up in Republican leadership this week.
Well, Mitt Romney has it. Mitt Romney is the one who actually tweeted, expelling Cheney will cost the GOP votes. Congressman,
disagree in the short term. I think in the long term, Mitt Romney is correct. But when you're looking at 2022 and the midterms, the polling again and the fundraising all points to the fact that GOP can take back the House if they use issues that are fiction, like Stop the Steal, like election integrity, which is, I think everybody knows, is a cover term for Stop the Steal. And we're looking at the legislation across the country is working for them. So, again, I wish I could say that following Trump and this sort of loyalty quotient that you have that everybody has to follow will be, the death knell of the GOP. But it's not about policy and issues right now. It is certainly about loyalty to President Trump. That is really all we have right now. And listening to the panel today, I'm just struck about what happened to me, what's happened to other people. But here's the one issue, the one reason Liz Cheney is being removed from the conference leadership is because she is not loyal to President Trump. That is the one issue. That's it. And the fact is, when you have truth and facts on your side, I just never thought we'd be facts-based radicals in the Republican Party.
we're not just hearing it from Mar-a-Lago, though, Ashley. Wyoming voters have said they are furious with Congresswoman Cheney. Could this not just cost her leadership position? Could she and other Republicans taking her honest position lose their seats?
I mean, we'll have to see, but again, all roads in many ways go through Mar-a-Lago. What a lot of those voters in Wyoming are responding to, in part, is being ginned up by former President Trump. And Donald Trump, he's never been one who is particularly organized. His operation is not very well streamlined, but he is doing what his advisors have described to me as revenge endorsements, which is trying to take out the 10 House Republicans who voted to impeach him and the senators who voted to convict him and anyone else who he believes was insufficiently loyal when it came to the quote-unquote big lie about the election. So he and his aides are calling around in Wyoming, not just trying to find a challenger for her, but trying to clear the field so that that challenger doesn't get bogged down and have Liz Cheney prevail. If that will happen, if he will be successful, again, he has very rarely shown that sort of streamlined political operation that you might need.
I've never felt so cold.
Things in Arizona continue to get stupider by the day. And the latest revelation following the announcement late last week that they were looking for bamboo fibers on the ballots that they swear were imported from somewhere over in Asia. The latest outrage came when Cyber Ninjas, the company doing this ballot audit of the more than 2 million ballots from Maricopa County at a cost of $150,000 to the Arizona taxpayers, they said that they need passwords to county computers, to county routers. Basically, they need access to the entire digital infrastructure, including the entire voting database, for all of Maricopa County. So if you could just hand over those passwords and let us get into your system here, that'd be great. No, that's terrifying, folks. This group, Cyber Ninjas, wants access to the personal data of more than 2 million Arizona residents of Maricopa County. Why? How is that relevant to them auditing the ballots to make sure the ballots are cool? And by cool, I mean, you don't need the computer data. You don't need access to somebody's entire voting history, which they would have access to if they got this information. Social security numbers, addresses, work history, all kinds of things that could then be used and sold, legally or illegally, to telemarketers, to other major corporations. There is a huge market across the planet for the private data of individuals, and not all of it is obviously, black market type, stealing social security numbers, but just your name, age, address, and voting history is very valuable to corporations throughout the country. And this group, Cyber Ninjas, that's never done a ballot audit in their life, thinks they need all of that just to make sure that these ballots are correct. You have the voting rolls, and you have the ballots. That is all you need. Do the two match up? Yes, they do. Okay, that's good. Let's go. Next one. Boom. That's all you have to do. But I'm starting to get the feeling that that's not what this is about anymore. We know that this ballot audit is not going to yield any results that are actually going to change anything with the 2020 election. That's not going to happen. But I'm starting to feel like Cyber Ninjas might be trying to do a little side hustle here, get their hands on all this personal data, and then sell it to corporations for a massive profit. Why else would they need access to this information? It makes no sense. It's not relevant to what they're doing because they have the voting rolls, they have what they need. And I'm terrified that the Republicans that control the Arizona legislature, are going to let these individuals have access to it. That is going to be a massive privacy breach for these residents in Maricopa County. It is absolutely going to destroy the public's trust in both Cyber Ninjas and the Republican-controlled government. And at worst, it puts all of their personal data at risk to this shady company that doesn't even know what they're doing. This is Hattie. Hattie wants to know why you have not subscribed to our channel. You obviously like our videos, so do us a favor and subscribe.
In heaven, this little girl came up to me. She told me she died in your tummy.
The pain that I suffered watching my son that close to death.
We're in trouble. You call some friends and pray for him. The hospital said that your son was not expected to survive.
He's been out there staring for hours.
You had a grandpa named Pop, right?
He died when I was about your age.
He's very nice.
You saw my grandfather? Where did you see him?
In heaven?
Is this the man you saw?
No, in heaven everybody's young.
Is this him?
Yeah, that's him. That's Pop.
Honey, did you punch a kid in the nose?
They were making fun of Colton. Is he gonna get a spanking?
Heck no. She's gonna teach you to hit without hurting your knuckles. I don't believe you. But everything he talks about is impossible.
You saw heaven? What does it look like?
It's beautiful.
We all want to be supported, but we can't have our town turned into a circus.
They don't believe me, do they?
Some people might be afraid to believe.
Don't you think we need to be talking about this life?
Do you think my son went to heaven?
You don't have to worry. He told me everything was alright.
He's making a difference.
Haven't we already had a glimpse of something? In the first cry of a baby, the courage of a friend, the love of a mother, a father, I see it, so I believe it.
do you?
I've been a type 1 diabetic for 6 years. I was diagnosed when I was 52, and I've been using Omnipod for 3 years. I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes 5 years ago. Later.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you both for your service. I appreciate very much you being here, Mr.
FDA scientist said that vaccinating young people will be key to our return to normal.
We know that this is a big step for our country, as vaccinating a younger population can bring us closer to a sense of normalcy and to ending this pandemic. Parents and guardians can rest assured that the agency undertook a rigorous and thorough review of all available scientific data, as we have with all of our COVID-19 vaccine authorizations.
At that Senate hearing today, Senator Bill Cassidy, he argued that health experts need to move quicker to update guidance on what Americans can do safely, especially those folks who are vaccinated. Take a look at this.
There is consequence to this kind of delay, as the stat article shows, of the kind of
sirens in Tel Aviv, and now we are getting reports of 130 rocket attacks in Tel Aviv. This is the biggest barrage. At least one person seriously injured. There are reports of a bus, thankfully it appears to be empty, in a suburb of Tel Aviv that was hit. Now, Prime Minister Netanyahu just spoke earlier today at the southern border, at that Gaza border, and he spoke about Israel being in the middle of a campaign. He vowed to increase the rate and the intensity of attacks, and that's exactly what's happening. Jeff, for a little bit of context, of course, we have been watching the tension rise in Jerusalem over the last week. We have looked, we could get trying to end Tel Aviv and Gaza.
And the Democrats pushed ahead today with a plan to counter a flood of Republican voting restrictions. But does the For the People Act have any chance at passing?
Today we're going to talk about Mitch McConnell's fatal mistake with a really ill-timed comment, what the Republican Party's attempt to purge Liz Cheney from its leadership means moving forward, and I interview Angelo Carusone, the president and CEO of Media Matters, about Fox News' insane lunge off the deep end and what steps we can actually take to stop them. I'm Brian Tyler Cohen, and you're listening to No Lie. So for once, it's not Dems in disarray. The Republican Party's in the midst of trying to throw Liz Cheney, who's currently the number 3 Republican in the House, out of her leadership position. All because she committed the crime of acknowledging objective reality that the election wasn't stolen and that Donald Trump bears responsibility for the insurrection on January 6th. She's also joined Democrats in calling for a commission to investigate the events of January 6th without the poison pill of trying to make it a commission that also looks at the George Floyd protests, which is what Republicans have resorted to try and diffuse responsibility off of themselves and instead be able to both sides everything into a stalemate. And the target on Cheney's back is basically evidence of this. If you want not just to succeed, but even to survive in today's GOP, you need to embrace Trump's lies about the election. And if you're willing to embrace those lies, then you are inherently opposed to democracy. If you're willing to pretend that there was fraud, pretend that machines were rigged, pretend that votes were being shipped in from Asia, pretend that officials were in cahoots with foreign powers, all in service of this imaginary scenario where the guy who lost somehow didn't lose, then you are opposed to democracy. It's all evidence of the fact that the big lie is the only thing that the Republican Party stands for. Now, when McConnell was asked whether Cheney would keep her leadership position to reporters in Kentucky, here's what he had to say.
Yeah, 100% of my focus is on stopping this new administration. I think the best way to look at what this new administration is, the president may have won the nomination, but Bernie Sanders won the argument about what the new administration should be like. We're confronted with severe challenges
from a new administration and a narrow majority of Democrats in the House and a 50-50 Senate to turn America into a socialist country, and that's 100% of my focus.
Now, where have we heard that before? Oh, right.
Our top political priority over the next 2 years should be to deny President Obama a second term.
In other words, we're seeing the same exact story play out that we saw during the Obama era, which was marred by record obstruction. Obstruction so horrendous that it basically became the beginning of the end for any semblance of functionality in Washington. And yet, still, despite admitting outright that his sole priority is stopping Democrats, the guy has the audacity to come out and, from the other side of his mouth, say stuff like this.
Bipartisanship is not on display this year, and the principal reason for that is I think what the new administration and the Democratic majorities in the House and Senate are doing are wildly out of proportion to what we need at this particular juncture.
Yes, how dare those Democrats not lend themselves to the idea of bipartisanship, says the guy who also believes that his sole function in government is to ensure that the other party fails. So look, when you hear Republicans wail about their desire for bipartisanship, remember that not only do they clearly not care about bipartisanship, which is obvious given McConnell's admission that 100% of his focus is on stopping this administration, but that they never cared about bipartisanship, considering McConnell was pulling the same shit a decade ago with the last Democratic president. His entire career is predicated solely not on helping people or making government work, but on obstructing Democrats so he can be in power. Again, the same theme. They're not fighting for principles, they are fighting for power for the sake of being in power. And that's not just me being partisan. What bills are Republicans passing across the country right now? Do they have to do with fiscal policy or limited government or states' rights or anything else they claim to support? No. They're introducing voter suppression bills, more than 300 of them, because their only goal is power. Their sole priority as a party is to do whatever is necessary to entrench their own minority rule. So between these bills like the ones passed in Georgia and now Florida and in a number of other states, and McConnell's outright statements promising that his only goal, literally 100% of his energy, is going to be spent on stopping Democrats, that is all the proof you need that the only discernible priority on the right is looking out for themselves. No values or governing principles, just power. And by the way, if you needed an example of asymmetric partisanship, just remember, the White House is still, to this day, holding good faith negotiations with Republicans, even after the umpteenth admission in broad daylight that their only goal is to stop Democrats. And so with regard to Biden, look, I get that he wants bipartisanship, I get that that's his brand, he campaigned on it, I get the whole concept of catching more flies with honey, I understand all of that. But at the end of the day, we are kidding ourselves if we think there's going to be bipartisanship with a party not only not pretending to want bipartisanship, but literally telling you that their only priority is stopping you. It's not even discreet. McConnell didn't even get caught on a hot mic or anything. This is the public-facing position. They're broadcasting it. They are taking you by the shoulders and putting their faces right in your face and telling you point blank that they don't want bipartisanship. Just like they've done before, by the way. We've watched the Republicans cry out about bipartisanship when Obama came into office and tried to pass the Recovery Act. Republicans got it whittled down, and then they didn't vote for it. Same with the ACA. Democrats succumbed to all these Republicans' demands. Democrats incorporated them to make it more palatable for those Republicans, who in turn refused to vote for it. But then they took off and enacted their entire agenda with zero Democratic support. Think about it. What do Republicans care about? Judges and tax cuts. They nuked the filibuster for what two things? Judges and tax cuts. They passed the 2017 tax cut for millionaires and billionaires with a simple majority. They confirmed 3 SCOTUS justices with a simple majority. At no point in more than a decade have Republicans actually been concerned about bipartisanship. Not when Democrats were in the majority, and not when Republicans were in the majority. And so now, when they have zero power, to claim that they want bipartisanship is so false, such a bargain basement, transparent tactic. I don't know how they can say it with a straight face, honestly. And by the way, this exact issue was raised to Jen Psaki, and here's what she had to say.
Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell said this morning, when asked about kind of the issues within his own party, that, quote, 100% of my focus is on stopping this new administration. And he touted kind of the unity within his caucus from Susan Collins to Ted Cruz. Are you concerned that it will be difficult to work with Republicans when you have these kinds of statements coming from their leader?
Well, I guess the contrast for people to consider is 100% of our focus is on delivering relief to the American people, on getting the pandemic under control and putting people back to work. And we welcome support, engagement, and work with the Republicans on that. And the president has extended an open arm to that. The door to the Oval Office is open. He's invited Senator Capito to bring a group of her choosing to the White House next week. And we think there is opportunity for agreement to deliver on relief to the American people.
So look, when it comes to optics for the White House, fine. If they need to meet with Republicans to say that they met with Republicans, fine. But at the end of the day, Democrats have the majority, and we would be fools to water down a single bill or surrender an ounce of power to a party so dedicated to obstruction that they're literally admitting it out loud. So listen to my interview with Angelo Carusone, the president and CEO of Media Matters, about Fox News' lunge off the deep end and what steps we can actually take to stop them. Check out the interviews playlist on my YouTube channel.
Oh, Lord love ya, there you are. It's good to be back. Welcome to a Late Show. I'm your host, Stephen Colbert. Forget good, it's great to be back. Here, in the audience-free former storage room that has become my life. I've missed you, 6-foot ceilings and deafening silence. We've been off for a week, but you know what never stops? The GOP's purge of anyone who dares question the former president, Sir Eats-A-Lot. Case in point, GOP conference chairwoman and only person noticing the zombies breaching the barricade, Liz Cheney. Cheney is a hard right conservative, but she was also one of only 10 Republicans who voted to impeach the YMCA hole. As a result, MAGA heads want to oust Cheney from her leadership position in the House, and that drive just got the support of House Minority Leader and guy watching his ex-wife set fire to his model trains, Kevin McCarthy. Last week, McCarthy got caught saying this about Cheney on a hot mic that he definitely knew was on.
I think she's got real problems. I've had it with. I've had it with. It's, you know, I've lost confidence.
What has happened to the GOP? Back in Liz Cheney's Father's Day, if you had a problem with a fellow Republican, you didn't stab him in the back. You shot him in the face on a hunting trip. Then you made them go on TV and apologize to you. Has there ever been anyone in government as weak as Kevin McCarthy? He barely escaped a murderous mob on January 6th, called the president for help, was denied that help,
You gotta love security camera footage. Black and white, low res, easy to